And now.
And now I have a sermon for you, but first,
A joke.
a joke. Look, I even got a new microphone, so now I have two hands for the joke. Listen, like Argentinians, Italians, right? We need both hands. With this, I remember, maybe I should use, the joke that it was this Italian walking on the street holding two watermelons, okay? And somebody said, sorry, can you tell me where to go? I need to go to Main Street. Do you know how to go there? I said, sure. Can you hold the melon? Sure. Can you hold this one? Sure. I don't know. I want to talk to you today about up a notch. Up a notch. What did you understand? I'm a rabbi. There are certain things that I never say in synagogue. Up a notch. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to start with actually acknowledging the hopefully wonderful news that we heard this last week. That it looks like after so many months, finally, God willing, we keep praying. Tomorrow, many hostages are going to return home. And this is something that reunion should be acknowledged and celebrated by all of us. It's a wonderful thing that it brings feeling of hope, but also so many other emotions. And I understand this. There are so many emotions that we feel at this time, but it's something that hopefully in the next coming weeks we're going to be able to understand those feelings and to deal with those as well, because this is a very emotional time for the Jewish people. But also one of the things that it caught me, at least this happened to me, I don't know if it happens to you, for this last week, when it looks like a deal was going to be signed, that it's going to be accepted, the first thing that when it's like a flash, all the things that we did as a community since October 7th. So much happened on our end. We changed so much since then. We did so much. We did things like we started to pray for the hostages every single service. Pray for Israel, pray for the IDF, every single service. That is a big change in our liturgy that happens since October 7th. And that brought comfort to so many people, and that brought hope, that strengthened the faith of so many. So I was recounting all these changes, and we went out and to rallies, to demonstrations, to show our support for Israel, things that many people never did before. And there we were doing that. We donated to places that we never donated before. And I found myself donating specifically to many Israeli initiatives supporting the families of the hostages. We spent time comforting people that they couldn't handle the stress and the anxiety that the whole situation in Israel created on them. And we spent time educating other people that they were listening to junk and garbage through the media. And this is something that we never did before. All of a sudden, here we were, talking to other people, reaching out to allies, and so many other things. So, as I said, times of hope, times of strong emotions, but also time to remember all the wonderful things that we did as human beings and as Jews. Because if there is something that history taught us, is the responsibility that we have for each other, for our brothers and for our sisters. And this is something that, let me tell you a story, because this is fascinating. Sometimes I know people believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. Since we moved back to this building, one of the things that I'm trying to do little by little, because it's a big task, is to organize my bookshelf. I have so many different collections of the Talmud, the Parsha, but just not the Parsha. I have Rashi, I have Rambam. And I have one of those collections of the Parsha that is called the Baal HaTurim on Torah. Who was the Baal HaTurim? He was a rabbi from the 1200 Germany. His name was Yaakov ben Asher. Okay, Yaakov ben Asher. Nobody knows him as Yaakov ben Asher. Everybody knows him as Baal HaTurim. Wonderful collection. I never read it too much because his specialty was gematria. You know, when you count numbers, and every Hebrew letter has a number, so it's very Kabbalistic. But once in a while I go there to see if I can find something new. And this week, his explanation of this parsha blew me away. Something I never heard before, but together with the news that we received from Israel, it was, why am I reading this? Then I knew why, because that's exactly what I needed to read. So, the Baal HaTurim is explaining this verse where, you know the story that Pharaoh said that all the babies had to be killed, all the baby boys. So Moses was put in a basket, right? And the basket was put on the Nile River. And then eventually Pharaoh's daughter found the basket, right? She gets the basket, she opens it, and then what the Torah says is fascinating. It says, Vayiftach vatireu et hayelet. She opened it and she saw a baby. Vehine nar boche. And, you know, she noticed the young person crying. Vatachmol alav, she felt moved by that. Vatomer miyaled Haivrim. Ze. So, but this is what Baal HaTurim says. There's something off of this verse. Because he said when she opened it, she saw a baby. Okay? Yaled. Baby. But then it said, and it was a youth, a young person crying. We usually understand that she's talking about the baby, but the words are off. If it's a baby, can't be a na'ar. Na'ar is a young person, but not a baby. So the Baal HaTurim said, who is she talking about? And then he answered, Baal HaTurim, this was Aaron, because remember that Miriam was hidden, but Aaron was there crying for the fate of his brother. And when she saw that it was somebody crying for the fate of his brother, she said, oh, now I'm sure that this is a Jewish boy. Because that's what we do. That's what we do. We get moved, we cry, we suffer with some other Jewish people around the world is suffering. We don't stay home doing nothing. We get moved by it and we do something for them. And this time since October 7 proved that to us, that we are just like this story. When we see one of our brothers and sisters suffering, we cry, we get moved, and we do something for them. But there is something else, because of course, we always said, Kol Yisrael Achim, all Israel, we are brothers and sisters. But there is something else. Something else. And that's why I called this sermon Up a Notch. Because now that hopefully the hostages are going to come home, and hopefully peace may have a chance in the land of Israel, it's time for us to take up a notch everything that we did for the last few months. It's not something that now that everything is going, quote unquote, back to normal in Israel, we go home and we continue with our lives. Everything that we learn about being moved by the suffering of somebody else should stay with us. And It should be a way, for example, to celebrate every hostage that comes home, to learn that the same way that we got moved, but the incarceration, we can get moved, but somebody else is suffering around the world. And let me tell you that that was exactly what Moses will do. Because yes, Moses, when he saw an Egyptian beating a Jew, the Torah says that what he did is he killed the Egyptian and buried him under the sand, right? Well, that was Moses defending one of his own. But then it says that it was a Jew fighting with another Jew. What did Moses do? He intervened. He intervened. So far we learned two things about Moses. He cared when an Egyptian was beating a Jew. But he also cared when two Jews were fighting with each other. But not even that. Even Moses is going to take it up a notch from there, because he escaped from Egypt. He went to the land of Midian. And as soon as he goes there to the land of Midian, he needs water. So he goes to a well. And he sees a group of non-Jewish shepherds harassing a group of non-Jewish women there. Moses would say, well, nothing to do with them. I'm a Jew. Or if you want, an Egyptian, whatever. But nothing to do with them. No, Moses intervened as well. You know what? Because you know what Moses is teaching us in this parsha is that he had what you will call a non-discriminatory appreciation of the pain of others. This is a beautiful thing that Moses is teaching us in this parsha. Yes, when any Jew around the world is in danger, we have the obligation to intervene. But Moses says, but not only that, when anybody around the world is suffering, we also have the obligation to intervene. So I was thinking that perhaps the most beautiful way to honor the return of the hostages home is for us not to go back home to normal. Because all that we discover about us, that intervening and trying to make things better, should continue. We should always find opportunities to make things better. If you learn how to donate, keep donating, maybe to a different cause, maybe to a different situation. We see around the world that we still have wars in Africa. We have suffering in Asia. We have wildfires in the United States. All things that should move us to action. So all the wonderful things that we learn and how we can make a difference could be applied to make a difference in even more places around the world. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.